What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and it's been quite a while since I've made an installment of how to beat X deck in less than 5 minutes. I figured I'd do Tenpai. I wanted to revisit this series just because I haven't done it in a while in lieu of maybe a 2-minute tech this Friday to do something a little bit different, and everyone does seem to like these. I wanted to go ahead and slowly bring it back, also because this is at the forefront of my mind as I prepare for YCS Indy, both for decks I'm going to play, maybe use, and or play against. So everyone knows this is a little bit of a unique one because you can force them to go first. That really does hamper the deck quite a bit, but I want to focus these next few minutes on what options you have when you are forced to go first. And this is really easy in the sense of there's really just one goal. You're slowing them down or stopping them basically from either synchro climbing or link climbing if they play the link package, basically. The two categories I'm going to break this down into how to deal with it are pre-sideboard and post-sideboard to outline what tools you might have depending on your deck build. I do mention link climbing because a decent amount of decks do play the Zealantis line to help you play around cards like D-Barrier, but with all that said, let's wrap this 5 minutes up on the clock with how to beat Tenpai. Okay, let's talk pre-side first, since this is the part I think people will be most interested in. So again, your goal is to slow them down or stop them completely from synchro summoning or link climbing. I'm going to highlight hand traps and a few other cards that fit the bill that are maybe a little bit outside the box. So let's also just make the negative assumption that they're going to either open the field spell or get it on their field first for that protection. So we need some additional options outside of the norm. The first go-to cards are going to be Droll and Lockbird, Ghost Ogre, Ghost Mourner, and Cosmic Cyclone. Those are all solid go-tos. Cosmic just takes care of the field spell outright when they try to search and has some solid overlap if you're using it as a main deck tech slot, with decks like Snake Eye being, again, arguably one of the best decks right now from results and representation. Droll is solid given a lot of builds have Pydra, Fenrir, Planet, Terraforming, Prosperity, and the field spell all to search. If you can get away with rolling their first search, since they're usually not going to use Kaiman until the battle phase, you really do put them on a better habit situation for hard drawing the extender, most of the time being Chandra or Kaiman, and even then chaining Droll, so that way they have to have one of those in order to keep playing. And if they don't have it, it can just end their turn. Ghost Ogre is also a solid card and has decent overlap with the Snake Eye deck right now, forcing them to end on a minimal board or a half board, so to speak. Using it to either chain to the field spell to prevent the search and eliminate the protection is very solid. The other option you can use it on is one of the Dragon's Effect to quick synchro if they went into battle phase without hard making the level 10 first and they just only have 2 bodies, or forcing them to just continue to play when they don't want to is really, really good. And the last hand trap that I will mention is Ghost Mourner. It's not the greatest, since most of the time they're going to be able to play around it, but it's better than nothing, since there are some either greedier Tenpai players or some Tenpai players who don't have the friend to give them the Trident Dragon that will go straight into Trident Dragon or just do a different route. Instead of making that 10 first before going to battle phase, you can use it on the level 7 to prevent the Reborn really slowing them down. The one other couple of tech options I will mention is in the extra deck, if you can afford the slot, but Fuko has obviously been quite the card for Snake Eyes and Purely as a way to just put it up and say, draw Santa Claus or lose. You get the turn back, basically, is something to help them. The other way you can do it is like if you have an in-combo Floodgate, Baguska is a really obvious go-to. I really do like that in the Melodious engine right now to build a board plus have that, since the hand traps, the field spell only protects the Pydra and all the Tenpais from activated effects. Baguska is a continuous, so that way you can just get around it there. Okay, let's talk post side. These are a few cards that I have personally been using and or considering and testing on my deck to try to throw in, regardless if I'm making them go first or if they're making me go first in games 2 or 3, because most of the time you're going to be able to go first one way or the other, right? This goes without saying, but Floodgates are always helpful. Skill Drain, Grave of the Super Ancient Organism, Dimensional Barrier, these are all easy go-tos. If you can play them, it either stops the turn or stops the rest of it, and really, again, forces them on the same situation, is better have it as some of those cards like Droll that we mentioned earlier. Those other cards do depend on the protection of the field spell, but there are some other cards that you can try if they don't have it or they go to battle phase again without making the level 10. Book of Eclipse is interesting. Enemy Controller is not bad, and Metaltronus is another tech that I've been starting to see options in both top cut lists in the main and side deck. All of these have kind of the common theme of basically removing the material from the board at best, and some at worst are at least a negate. So getting rid of Pydra or flipping it face down, then you just turn off Chandra because its ability to special summon is not a quick effect. And then of course you cannot synchro summon with materials that you don't have or are face down. So that's an easy way to deal with them as well. So that's it, a quick overview of how to beat Tenpai. Do you think the deck is as overwhelming as it really seems? Did you ask your friend for the Trident Dragion? And what are some other tech cards you like using in the matchup? With all that said, I'll see you on Sunday. Later.